normal, El Nino, La Nina. What happens during La Nina? Oh, well, it starts off with those winds. They are humming. I mean, those winds, I said they're normally blowing at 5 to 15 miles an hour. They're going like 15 to 30 miles an hour. They're blowing super fast. Oh, because they're blowing super fast, how much poop is in the water? Yeah, the Coriolis effect is really happening. So that means there's going to be lots of poop. If there's lots of poop, that means there's going to be lots of algae. If there's lots of algae, that means there's going to be lots of fish. Okay, so that's what's happening in the water. Now, what about water temperature? Well, like I said last video, water temperature off here of Australia, the Philippines, and Asia, it's always hot. Let's go to Mexico. It's water temperature off of Mexico. Well, that water is just being blown away. And it doesn't get a chance to warm up. So the water off of Mexico, it gets cold. Okay, what happens to the weather? Well, if there's any cloud out here in the Pacific, since those trade winds are blowing so fast, boom, it just goes over here. And these winds, they're blowing really hard. So what can we say about the weather over here? Well, maybe we could use the word stormy. It's like stormy, rainy. I mean, they're hit by like one monsoon after another monsoon. I mean, it just keeps on coming. La Niñas are like El Niños. The shortest they'll last is like 6 months. They usually last around 12 to 18 months. We're just finishing up our 3rd year of La Nina. They have those buoys that are out in the water. And what they've just noticed over the last couple months is that the wind speeds are starting to decrease. They're getting back to that 15 mile an hour range. It's been going on for almost 3 years right now. For 3 years, over here it's been stormy rain. I guess we don't hear about it because it's too far away. You know, we talked about the Atlantic Ocean in the normal years. Well, let's go back to it. Well, during La Nina, if those winds are really blowing, I mean, they're just really blowing. Well, the same thing's going to be happening over here in the Atlantic Ocean by us, where we care about because that's what we hear about. Well, over here, I said they've been hit by monsoon after monsoon. Over here, they're called hurricanes. So over here, during La Nina, you get more hurricanes hitting this area. We only care about us here in Washington. How does La Nina affect us? Well, these big, wet, fast-moving clouds, they come here and then they just start to dump rain on the Philippines, Asia, and Australia. And then kind of what I said with the El Nino is that clouds, when they hit land, they kind of go upland. So then what happens is they kind of go up here. And then they hit the top end of the westerlies. And the top end of the westerlies are blowing up here. So then what happens during La Nina is that we get these storms coming down like this. And because they've been coming down like this, they bring cold air to us. So during La Nina in Washington, we get a colder winter, and it's going to bring more snow to the area because there's going to be these clouds that have rain that are going to come up to us. All right, hopefully you get a little idea about what happens to it. You have to know what happens normally those trade winds are blowing, and because they're blowing, some algae, some poop, some fish. You have to know about the water temperature. Off of Asia, it's going to be really hot. And then normally, because it's going to be cold off of Mexico, You have to know about weather. That it's going to be rainy here over in Asia, and it's going to be dry over here in America. During El Nino, the trade winds stop. And because they stop, there's going to be no poop, no algae, no fish. The water temperature off of Mexico is going to get really, really, really hot. Weather is going to change. It's going to get dry in Asia. And then right here in America, over on the West Coast, it's going to get really warm and wet. It's going to be rainy, wet. During La Nina, those trade winds are really blowing. That means lots of poop, lots of algae, lots of fish. The water temperature off Mexico gets really cold. It gets stormy rainy over here. Over here in America, I guess I didn't talk about it, but right here it's going to be really, really dry. Because if there's any cloud that forms, boom, they get blown away. I said that we're just finishing up 3 years of a La Nina. And in California over the last 3 years, they've been in a serious drought. And the reason is, any cloud that forms, boom, they get blown away. They don't get a chance to go up to the westerlies and then come over and get blown into California. All right, up on Classroom, there's one more worksheet for today. Also on Classroom, there's an objective sheet. Green days, we got a test on Monday. Gold day, the test is on Tuesday. Guys, have a great weekend.